We are going to go back to Chuck. So Chuck, whenever you're ready, you are good to go. All right, great.
Perfect. Thank you. And sorry y'all have to listen to me again, but we should have probably separated my presentation out a little bit. But so I wanted to give a quick update on the Wild Spotter project, something we've talked about a lot, and we've really made some big improvements to recently, as well as a project we did in Georgia last year called Joro Watch. And so I'm just going to kind of focus on these two things in this presentation, and then we will take a short break and get to the other presentations of the day. So Joro Watch was a project that came about because of this very showy spider that showed up in North Georgia a couple of years ago. And so after summer of the previous summer, and there being a lot of these showing up, we said, okay, this summer summer of 22, we're really going to take and do a organized effort to get the word out about this new species and get people excited about reporting it, so we can really document where it is found. Now, I'm going to preface this: Joro spiders are definitely exotic to the United States. We do not know enough about them yet to know if we would call it an invasive species, exactly what damage it's going to cause. And so, but that's part of the reason to collect data on it, so we'll know a little bit more about how it behaves. So we set up a Joro Watch website, integrated the EDDMapS reporting forms into it, made it very easy for somebody to report. Did a lot of social media graphics showing where some of the holes were in reporting, to try to encourage people, hey, if you see it and you're in this county, report it. Did some educational materials showing kind of the difference between Joro spiders and other similar spiders. Without even doing any promotion of these posts, we were able to get a lot of organic reach to people, so a lot of awareness of this species, and it ended up being 67,000 individuals were reached. That means it just showed up on your feed, 3,600 clicks, 291 shares, a bunch of comments, and a bunch of likes. So something new, public could get interested in. So we started looking over the period, and when we were doing the promotion, we saw a good spike at the beginning of promotion, which was also when the spiders were most out there, and a lot of good data coming in from that. We were able to really fill in the map, and what to me is the most important lesson we learned on this is, we got a lot of data. We got it from the website, we got it from the apps. Even got a couple of records from EDDMapS Pro coming in. We did pull data from our naturalists for that time period as well. In the contest, we had 203 reporters that reported in the contest, and that added 5 new counties. The most reports by individual reporter was 5, and the most counties by an individual reporter were 6. So we thought that was really cool. But what really makes me excited about this and makes me think that we can duplicate this as other things come along is we had over 1,000 unique reporters, and 1,085 of those, they were of only reported Joro spiders. So to our network of reporters, to our network of the first detectors, the people on the ground, another 1,000 people with this little campaign about this spider, we were able to add another 1,000 people that now know more about invasive species and know when they see something unusual, they should report it, and they know some ways to report it. So I would encourage anybody out there that works on a state or a local level to think about doing something like this. When there's something new, it's easy to identify and showy, or we were trying to fill in good data on something like Tree of Heaven because you're worried about spider lanternfly. there's some good lessons learned on this, and there's other examples as well, but this was kind of a unique one that I wanted to show. We made available digital badges, as well as we mailed some stickers out to the winners as well. So just a little bit of incentive on top of that. All right, so I'm going to spend the next few minutes talking about WildSpotter. WildSpotter is an effort that started about 5 years ago as a effort to really map invasive species on public lands. And so this was a partnership with the Forest Service and Wildlife Forever initially, to really focus on how do we get people in the national forest reporting species and build a framework around that on top of EDDMapS. So not a new database, but something really geared toward outdoor recreation and public lands. And so those were our real goals. Let's make it easy. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. We started out with a website. We tried to make it as clean and as visually appealing as possible, and really have it as the hub of information. We built it all on the EDDMapS platform. This is the question I get asked the most, but WildSpotter is going to the same database as EDDMapS. It was just uniquely designed for this purpose. I even refer to it a lot for people that know what EDDMapS is this is EDDMapS Lite. We've got EDDMapS Pro. This is EDDMapS Lite. So again, it's all part of EDDMapS. It's just another way to get the data in. It's using the same verification network and everything else. We've done a lot of marketing and promotion in the early stages, and we're continuing that with some print advertisements, and then really thinking about how do we incentivize volunteers to get started. So we've created some starter kits, doing things like certificates, some pin stickers, those kind of things, and really trying to work with local areas to implement this program. So when we started this, it was focused on a pilot group of national forest and really focused on wilderness areas. As COVID went along and we were not able to do as much outreach on this as we liked, we said, okay, we're going to keep building this. We're going to keep expanding this. And so we've now added every national forest and every grassland into WildSpotter. We are working on adding all of the Bureau of Land Management's national conservation lands and hope to have those in the next couple of weeks. We've also done some pilots with the pilot projects with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, as well as a couple of tribes in Minnesota, as just kind of trying things out, getting things added. We added the Boise foothills. And so this was the, kind of the pilot. Well, now we have said, okay, we need to keep building this. This is a way that we can get consensus among public lands for reporting. So we said, let's make it easy. Let's make it where a state agency can send us a spreadsheet of their state parks or their state forest with a little bit of information, and we're able to upload it and automatically add those wild spaces. So there's my the email address. If you're interested in that and you work with a state agency and you want your areas represented, then please reach out to us and we'll be glad to work with you on that. For the national forest and something we're looking at for other areas later, we've added offline maps to make it very easy for you to see where you are when you don't have cellular coverage in some of these areas. And so it's really a tool to help assist in that functionality in those remote areas. The app has been designed to be as simple and as easy to use as possible. And I really want to stress that, because we really want to focus on a crowd that what we're focused on is getting them interested in the invasive species issue, and here's something they can do about it and make it as simple as possible. So we've done things like integrate a user guide directly into the app. We've changed up recently where when you're reporting a plant infestation, we're not worried about exactly how many square feet or how many acres of the infestation is. Hey, are you standing there? Is it the size of a basketball? Is it the size of a small car? Is it the size of a school bus? If it's bigger than a school bus, then it's still at least the size of a school bus. And it gives the managers in those public lands a way to know how big the problem is. And it doesn't require the user to really go in and know exactly how, do a measurement or anything else like you would do, like somebody will probably do later if it is something to worry about. We've also added the feature where users can create their own wild place directly in the app. So if you're working in an area and you want to create your wild place and start reporting in that wild place, then you can draw it out in the app. You can upload an image representing your wild place. You can even search for species and add species list, all of that directly in the app. And then it will become a wild place. Now, these are user level wild places. So they start out and they're only available for the user that created them. But there's a process that we're working through where if you want to promote your local wild place into a official wild place, then you can do that as well if you've got a group working in that area. And some other things we've added to the apps are things like auto upload. We've added achievement badges into it, ability to report directly from the map view, a setting to automatically upload so you don't have to remember to go into your queue and upload it, and really trying to personalize the interface. Here are some of the badges that we started with. You get a badge when you make your first report. You get a badge when you make your first bird report or first tree report. And then it kind of does a counter of how many reports you have in each area after that. Another thing that we thought about is how do we get users to download this app and use it? And so one of the things we also added is a national checklist. So there's plenty of apps out there that allow you to keep track with what national parks you visited. But there's not an option out there to keep track of what national forests you visited, or what BLM lands you visited, or what state parks in Georgia have you visited. And so a lot of people like to keep up with that list. So we've integrated that in. It's available for the national forest and national grasslands now. And as we add other new wild places like the BLM lands, then those will be available through the checklist format as well. And you can do that both on the website and through the app. We're also looking at ways to build community around this, with the leaderboard concept, how many observations by user, what are the most observed species, what are the wild places with the most reports. Again, a lot of short YouTube videos to really help with the training part and make it very simple for you to go, hey, what do you want to do before you go to the wild place? How do you navigate the app? How are reports validated? How do you quantify an infestation? We've also worked with the Pilot National Forest to build different trailhead posters and templates for those posters. These concepts are something that can be put up, they can be laminated. One of the ones we just recently did was this one that we're sending out to the Superior National Forest, I think, so they can add those and put them out around their forest. And we're looking at ways to integrate the Wild Spotter campaign into things like boot brush stations and other materials like that come out through Play Clean Go. We've had about 2,200 downloads to the app and about 48,000 page views to the website from about 16,000 web users. Obviously Wild Spotter has not been around as long as EDDMapS, and we're still growing that user base through different ways of outreach. We have a decent Facebook following of about 3,500 users, and as the summer picks up, we're going to be posting things to the Facebook page to help continue to engage people into the Wild Spotter program. There's also we're working with backcountry hunters and anglers, and there's going to be a social media campaign this spring through to their membership, really encouraging them to download the app and start exploring what it can do. we're not talking about it directly today, but there is an effort going on for the national EDR framework. And we get a lot of questions about that, comparing that to programs like WildSpotter. And what I will say is this is one of their graphics, and they have existing data sources and data collection tools. And that's where EDDMapS and WildSpotter fit into this. And the University of Georgia and the Forest Service is partnering with USGS and Department of Interior to make sure that WildSpotter is part of this national EDR framework. I mentioned iNaturalist in terms of aggregating data earlier, but it's the same kind of concepts when you compare iNaturalist to WildSpotter. WildSpotter has expert verification. You're able to do more advanced data collection. You don't worry about things like the limitation of the fields and the data obscurity things that are not an issue for data in our public lands. We've built a lot of partners around WildSpotter and are continuing to reach out to them to help us promote this and help us add new wild places to it. We've also worked with all the major prevention partnerships, as well as a new effort called Invasives Free USA. The Invasives Free USA and the WildSpotter program are working together on a training course that is going to be this December in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And I want to invite all of y'all to attend this. It is going to be really focused on how you do an on-the-ground invasive species program and how you manage volunteers, how you reach out to local partners. And we've invited a whole slew of experts, both that are doing this kind of work on the ground, as well as experts from other fields who are going to come in and help teach us some of the things that we as an invasive species community don't think about always when we're doing outreach and making connections. So if you want more information on this, you can go to invasivesfree.org. There's a sign-up form on there where you can sign up to get more information, and the full agenda as well as the registration for this is going to be available very soon. It is going to not be concurrent sessions. It's going to be one session, and we're going to limit the number of attendees just so we have a good group. And then if this is successful, we're going to move it to other parts of the country in other years. So with that, if you have any questions, I'll answer them in the chat. And then, please check out wildspotter.org as well as invasivesfree.org. And I think now we have a break.
Yeah, thanks, Chuck. We are going to go ahead and take a break until 3 o'clock Eastern or on the hour, wherever you are. So we will see you all back here in about 8 minutes.